Swooners, I hope you're having a great month, week or day and that positivity is coming your way. Now, this week's video is my top 10 reads of 2023. I originally was going to add it to my last week's video, which was my book wrap of 2023. However, I realized that the video was far too long already, and I was like, I can't make this an hour by adding on my top 10, so I decided to separate it out. So here is my top 10 reads of 2023. I hope you enjoy. Alright, at number 10 on my top 10s of 2023, we have Belladonna. Now, Belladonna is centered around 19-year-old Signa, who has been orphaned at a very young age when she was a baby, and she's now just been passed around from relative to relative to relative, and every single one of her guardians have basically unexpectedly, and now she has been sent off to live with her only remaining relatives, and she finds that whilst the estate seems glamorous, there's also a dark undertone to it, as the only daughter of the patriarch of the family is slowly dying, and her dad is basically busy partying, and her son is trying to gain control of the situation, but it isn't helping. Then Signa, trying to sort out this issue, finds herself in a very complicated relationship / friendship / enemy situation with Death himself. And that's where the story goes. Now, I loved reading Belladonna. The moment I picked it up, I couldn't put it down. This is the first gothic romance I have read, I think, ever, and it just had me hooked. I really enjoyed that this book was a true murder mystery. Like, I really wanted to find out what was happening to the older daughter, and the author really blended the murder mystery and the romance together beautifully, and none overpowered the other. You know, it wasn't as if there was a lot of romance but the murder mystery fell into the background, or there was a lot of murder mystery and the romance was kind of there. There was an equal parts of both, and I think that's what really made this story amazing and so captivating to read. Then at number 9, we have Sweet Vengeance. Now, Sweet Vengeance is about Joy. Now, Joy summons a demon to help her bring an end to the man who ruined her life. And the demon in question is Malachi, who basically loves Joy, who like falls in love with Joy and everything about her thirst for vengeance, her passion, her drive. And then you also have Joy, who falls for this really kind demon who has been dealt with a lot in his life. Like, he's been through a lot. And so whilst this book was short, it was only 196 pages, it packed a punch, and that's why it's number 9. I have already reread several parts of this book. I loved the fact that we have a heroine who is not shamed for wanting revenge. A lot of the time in books, I find that people are like, oh, but did revenge really give you the satisfaction? And then you have Joy, who's just like, yeah, I'm very happy, you know? Like, she... like, I love the fact that Joy was never shamed for having this thirst for getting revenge on the person who on the man who basically caused her so much torment. And I loved that Melange loved that about her and supported it instead of trying to diminish it. Overall, brilliant book, and that's why it had to be number 9 in my top 10. Then at number 8, we've got Shadow and Whispers. So you have Elias, who's basically a man who has his own demons. He suffers from mental health issues, and he's basically been living away from his mafia family for years now. Then you have Cress, who is a dancer. She is a ballerina, and she doesn't want to get pulled into her mafia family, especially since she's seen how much tragedy has come from them being this influential mafia family. However, both of them basically get pulled back into their family business when it's announced that they need to marry so that the families can have an alliance, because they have been rivals for plenty of years. Now, Elias is down for it. Elias falls for Cress the first time he sees her dance. But the reason why Shadow and Whispers is in my top 10 isn't purely about the romance. Whilst the romance was beautiful to read, the journey of Elias and his mental health journey, and seeing him struggle and learn more about how to manage all of it, was so beautiful to read. And what I also thought was very interesting was the fact that you saw... What I thought was very interesting about this book was, I cannot say I liked each of the characters immediately. There was no character that I was like, oh, I love you, the moment they showed up. Each of them I learned to love and got really invested in their stories, even the side characters. And I think that really matches the vibe of the book overall, because in the book it's the same. None of the characters, except for Elias, falls... Elias? Except for the main male character, really falls for the other immediately. It takes time, and it takes time for them to learn how to love each other and how to be together. And I think that's, along with the mental health representation and that storyline, just really made this book for me. It was so good, and once I picked it up I couldn't put it down, and it just left an impact. It was a very impactful book. Now we have Only If It's You. So Only If It's You centers around JV and Kalani. Now JV is a boxer who has a reputation for being a player, and it's kind of halting his career now. And then you have Kalani, who is a single mother, and she's dealing with an ex that just won't let her go. This ex won't let her go. Anyway, Kalani is on a bachelorette party, and she happens to bump into JV, and they're in Vegas, so they wake up the next morning with a hangover and married. Yeah. However, JV's manager says this is actually a good thing, because you being married to not only a woman but a single mother could boost up your reputation and actually put you in a positive light. So we have this marriage of convenience going on, but whilst that plot line you think, okay, I know what's gonna happen, there was a subplot line in this book. Oh my gosh, the twists of this book was mad. Like, the actual plot twist was crazy. So many stuff happened. Like, this book had so many dramatic moments in it. Moments where I had to sit up because I was like, what the F is happening? And moments where I was like, oh my gosh, everything's going to go to hell any minute now. Like, it was an emotional roller coaster, and I could not put this book down. Like, so much so that it nearly hindered my work. because I stupidly started reading this book during my lunch break and I couldn't put it down, and then I had to force myself to lock away my Kindle so I could do a bit of work. True story. This book was amazing. I'm sorry, such a good book, and that's why it's number 7 on my top 10 of 2023. At number 6, we have A Light in the Dark, which was and is my top or the best Beauty and the Beast retelling of 2023. Now, this was one of my top 10, not only because of the fact that it features a black main heroine or the fact that I love Beauty and the Beast, but this retelling took the story of Beauty and the Beast and somehow made the book still unpredictable and something where you were still guessing what happened. Because everyone knows the story of Beauty and the Beast and why the Beast was turned into the Beast. However, in this one, you find that the Beast has been in this form for a long time. 200 years to be, in fact. Like, 200 years he's been in this form. And the Beast also has this just huge amount of guilt, of shame, of self-loathing. It's like the amount of negative emotions the Beast has for himself really pulls you in, because there's also an element where he keeps on thinking, I deserve this, and you really want to find out the reason why he believes this. Then you have Claire, who's just newly passed her exam she's just basically newly passed her exam, and she takes on this quest to break the Beast's curse, and Claire does not give up. Claire refuses to give up. Claire will do anything to break the Beast's curse and to find out who caused this curse, because the curse is hella illegal in this world. The world building, the way the world building alone was beautiful. The world building alone is something that captivated me, because in this world you find out, like, there's certain rules to magic that you have to abide by, and you can't just go around cursing people. You know what? I'm gonna go on a tangent soon, but this was by far the best Beauty and the Beast retelling that I have read in 2023, and that's why it's number 6. Then we have one of my new auto-buy authors books, her favourite jack-o'-lantern. So her favourite jack-o'-lantern centres around Sally, who loves Halloween. She loves everything gothic. She dresses like it's constantly Halloween, and she's basically the town weirdo for it. A lot of people make fun of her, a lot of people avoid her, and what's worse is the fact that it doesn't only exist in the town people, but also her family as well. So when she gets a new neighbour, she goes around and tries to be friendly, only for that neighbour to be Jack, the boy that she had a crush on when she was in high school. And Jack has just come back from serving time in the army, and he's looking for a purpose. He's looking for something. He wants to adapt into this town that he used to grow up in, and just he doesn't know what to do. So when he meets Sally, who's this breath of fresh air, who he notices is mistreated by a lot of people but is still so kind, you watch him fall for her as hard as she fell for him, and the entire plot line and the entire story was so cute. This was such a comfort read. It was so cute, and it was so adorable watching these two fall in love. And Jack loves Sally for who she is to the core. Jack wouldn't say change a single hair on Sally's head, and it is so beautiful to read, especially when you see how the townspeople treat her, how she's treated on a daily basis. When you see how people treat her outside of her friends, you realize that Jack is just as much as a breath of fresh air as Sally is to him, and they are so compatible that way, and it was just so cute to read, and that's the reason why it's in my top 5. Then we have Bed Me Earl. Bed Me Earl was one of the last books I read in 2023, and I was hooked. So Bed Me Earl is centered around Cairo. Caro is a tall maiden who has basically been told her entire life that she will never get married because not only is she tall, but she has a stutter and a lisp. So she doesn't like speaking. And then on top of that, her dad has basically kept her at the estate dealing with all of his finances for years. So she's been out once, and then she had like one season, and then that was it. And that was years ago. Now, in the one season she had, she was only asked to dance by one person, and that is Phineas, who is an Earl, and her brother's friend. Now, Phineas is a short king. He's short, but he's flirty, he's playful, he's a people person, has a larger than life personality, and he's down for a good time, right? So when Cairo sneaks into Phineas's bed to fulfill her one desire, her one last wish before she completely signs herself up to be single for the rest of her life, and Phineas is more than happy to help her with her final wish, Phineas ends up becoming obsessed with her. And when he finds out who his mystery woman is, he becomes even more obsessed. This book is the definition of he falls first. Like, Phineas falls for her, and he finds everything about her adorable and cute, and he goes the extra mile to prove how much he is enamored with her. And when you find more about Cairo's background and what she's been through, again, this is a book where I felt so happy and so deeply watching someone love, or reading about someone loving a girl who has been put down so much throughout her life, so openly and with all of their heart. It was such a good read, and it really just captivated me, and it just hit me with a ton of bricks. Like, there was some points throughout the book where there was moments where I was physically like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. There was so many swoon-worthy moments in this book, it was ridiculous, and that's why it's number 4. Okay, and then at number 3, it shouldn't be shocking for anyone that it is a Catharina Maura book. But out of all of the books that she has written for the Windsor series, which includes The Temporary Wife, The Unwanted Marriage, and The Broken Vow, I believe, is the one that has just recently come out. Yes, The Broken Vow. Yes, The Broken Vow that has recently come out. This one I have reread several times already, and this is the one that I can confidently say is my favorite so far. So we have Faye. Now, Faye has been told from a very young age that she will be marrying Dion. That's her, like, from what I mean from a very young age, to the point where Faye's entire life has been basically centered around Dion. She's been told to play the piano because he did, favorite books, everything. And they are finally informed by the grandmother that they are marrying this year. Now, Dion never really established a relationship with Faye, but now he's like, okay, we're getting married this year, it's time. And when Dion and Faye, their story is so beautiful. That's the one word I describe it. It's so beautiful because Dion turns around and basically says, Dion commits himself to this marriage, right? Dion says, I'm done running and she's going to be my wife, and commits. And then you have Faye, who has her own personal life and her own personal demons that she has to go through. And watching them go through that together and fight their guilt over stuff, or basically Dion standing up for Faye, was so good. And then the thing that I loved the most was that in this couple, they didn't hide the fact that they were jealous at times or very possessive. And you would think Dion's the only one possessive. No, Faye shows her possessiveness over Dion several times. There's several points where Faye is like, this is my husband, don't touch him, don't flirt with him, who are you? And that was just part of her character development, and I absolutely loved it. The storyline was amazing, the romance was amazing, and it had so many moments of pure swoon and swoon-worthy moments that just clutched, it just made my heart ache, and it was so cute. So I just can't. That's the reason why it's number 3. Then at number 2, we have Let Me Free You. What can I say? This is the last book in the McCain Brothers series, which made it semi-bittersweet because I was really upset to see the brothers, like, this series end. I was so upset reading the end of this series, but this book ended with a bang. It was so good. Okay, so you have Neil. Now, Neil is known as the screw up in the family. He had a gambling addiction and was an alcoholic, and he basically has just come out of rehab, and he is a changed man now. He wants to get back on the right path. Now, then you have Sage. Now, Sage is a girl who's in a predicament because she has just found out from her family that she's going to be deported in a couple of weeks from America, and her friends are basically like, well, we want you to stay here, what can we do? And that's when her friends come up with the idea for Sage to marry Neil so that she can stay in the country. Now, at first they're both hesitant until they realize that they needed each other, not only just for the visa. Like, Neil needed Sage just as much as Sage needed Neil. And watching them fall in love with each other, the falling in love part was quite quick, but their relationship is literally relationship goals. Like, there's so many moments where they're like the definition of soulmates. Like, there were so many moments where I was like, oh my gosh, Alexandria has somehow written soulmates so beautifully and so perfectly that I didn't want the book to end. I know I say that about a lot of books, but with this one, I physically didn't want the book to end. I actually remember getting to the end of the book and going back and reading some more parts of the book. Like, reading parts of the book that I was favorited and highlighted. Reading parts of the book where the romance and the scene and the emotions displayed was so beautifully written and impactful that I just had to read it again. That was this book. This book was amazing. I think I've reread it now a couple of times. Like every now and again when I sit down and I'm like, oh, you know what? I just remembered that scene from Let Me Free You, so let me read it. Like, that's literally it. It got to the point where it was on my Kindle Unlimited. I got it on Kindle Unlimited, and I just turned around to myself and said, Angeles, just buy the ebook. Come on, just buy the ebook. Because as much as you want to deny the fact that you're not obsessed with this book, just buy the ebook. So yes, that's why it's number 2. And then number 1 read of 2023, it shouldn't be shocking that I picked a Regine Abel book. I picked I Married a Minotaur. I love this book. I love this book so much that I lined up again for Regine Abel to sign I Married a Minotaur when I found out that it was in the Rare 2023 anthology. I actually lined up again for her to sign it because that's how much I loved it. And then when I found out she also did I Married a Regine, which is like a direct companion book for I Married a Minotaur, I read that immediately. So I Married a Minotaur is about Rihanna. Now, Rihanna has been condemned to go to jail for 20 years. However, to stop herself from serving this ridiculous amount of time for a crime that she didn't even commit, they give her a proposition. They say you can either do the 20 years or you can marry this Minotaur. Now, Zatwook is the leader of his people, and his people are currently in a very dangerous situation as the Minotaur people love to fight. However, they love to fight too much. It's something in their brain chemistry that basically makes them eventually enter into this sort of blood rage. And Zatwook really wants to fix this. He has an idea, but he's having trouble implementing it. He has an idea that could save his people, but he's really struggling. And that's when Rihanna comes in, and they just work beautifully together. Like, that was the main thing that sold me on this couple. That was the main thing that just made this book hit, because they worked so beautifully together. And Zatwook, while he is while he is the leader of his people, he doesn't shy away from showing his emotions to Rihanna. He is very open, not word-wise, but he's definitely a physical touch person, because the moment him and Rihanna get married, he loves her being close, and he loves her strength and everything about her. And just watching the both of them come up and execute a way to save his people was so interesting, whilst also them falling in love with each other and having such a perfect marriage and having such a perfect harmony and unity and everything. It was just such a good read. It honestly, I couldn't get enough of the book. I got so lost in the world for a moment, and I knew this book was my number 1 book because after reading this book I went into a semi-reading slump, because I realized that I ended the book and it's going to be really hard to find a book that would beat I Married a Minotaur. And that's when I knew it was my number 1 book of 2023. Well, that is it for my top 10 reads of 2023. Please leave a comment down below on what was your favourite book in 2023, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye!